put on your seatbelt. Let's go.
All right, turn up the music.
There's a killer on the loose. Look out, he's right behind you. He won't give me the axe. I'm scared, but I'm fighting back. We are the scream queens, running through the night. We are the scream queens, gonna put up a fight, make everything alright. Flurry through.
Welcome to Scream Queens Horror Road Trip Podcast. That is your final girl, Justine, screaming her head off over there, and I am your sole survivor, Mr. Josh.
Hello, Mr. Josh.
We are cruising down Interstate 44, heading east from Oklahoma City to Salem, Massachusetts.
Intrastate? That's interesting.
The interstate is so interesting.
At the moment, it's just a bunch of tree-lined intrastate.
But guys, we have a Halloween treat for you. We are heading to like the Mecca of Halloween, Salem, Massachusetts. We've got a long drive, but it's going to be worth it. And we're going to chit-chat hocus pocus with everyone today.
Hocus pocus, let's get into focus.
It's a lot of hocus pocus. We're actually doing a double episode. Episode 82 next month will be The Witch. And in that episode, we'll talk more and cover, like, a lot of the witch locations, the witch museums, yada, yada, yada. This episode, we're going to talk more hocus pocus locations, filming locations. And
We're not even going to talk. That's what we're visiting.
that's what we're visiting.
That's what we're doing.
We're going to go see where the characters Max live, where the high school is. We're going to see Allison's house. What else? The Fountain, I think, is somewhere around there, unless that's down in Boston. I'm not sure. And just everything, guys. We're going to see it all.
I think that the Fountain is on the Warner lot.
Oh, is it? I thought
Because
it was
I think
actually...
the Fountain is also something
It's on the
that you
Friends.
can see in Friends.
Yes.
So
yeah, maybe you're right. For some reason, I thought it was like there in Salem.
you were confounded.
I was confounded and confused. But let's get back to Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus. Let's get into Pocus. Okay, so yeah, we are covering the 1993 Kenny Ortega witchy classic.
Witchy.
I mean, Bette Midler. I mean, SJP. Sarah Jessica Parker. Kathy Najimy. Right? Najimy? We were trying to figure that out earlier.
Najimy.
Najimy. Whatever it is, she's perfection.
Yeah, she's hilarious.
And then we've got, those were the Sanderson
Omri
sisters.
Katz.
And then
As
we
the
have
teen-
Omri
one of the-
Katz.
Yes, as one of the first teens.
Good old, always looking like she was just destined to be 30 years old, Thora Birch.
She is one of the kids. The other teen is Vanessa Shaw.
Yes.
But Max and Thora, I just mixed that up. It would be Omri and Thora are brother and sister.
Yes. And then we even have Doug Jones, who, I mean, now we know him in movies like Shape of Water. He plays a lot of, in like full costume, kind of. Like, he's a character guy.
Yeah, he does a lot of prosthetic acting. Like, he plays lots of creatures, like Pan's Labyrinth, and like you said, The Shape of Water.
The Shop of Water.
The Shape of Water. No, that didn't work.
And the script was first written by horror lover extraordinaire McGarris.
Yeah, he's been around for a long time. Has directed lots of like Stephen King adaptations. One of the most famous was The Shining remake for television, where he actually shot at the Stanley.
Yes, that we visited way long ago, right before the pandemic ruined all of our
lives.
lives.
A week before pandemic times, we were at the Stanley Hotel. Oh my God!
Yes,
do you think
we were.
Do you think we contributed? Do you think we stirred up some kind of ancient ghost that... No.
No, that was had already been happening
that
for
was
several
science.
months.
This
Yeah,
happened.
that's just But okay, but long ago before I was born, Mick Garris wrote this script, and then it was bought by Disney, and then they kind of like sat on it, tried to rewrite it a lot, make it funnier, just bring different life to it, and finally in 1992 we've got Kenny Ortega on the job and
went into production finally after all those years, and they started filming in October of 92. We kind of guessed that that's probably when they did all the exterior stuff in Salem.
yes,
was
it
in
would make
October.
sense. I mean, they want fall.
Yeah.
Salem will give them fall.
Well, that and just, if they're going to do the exteriors, it needs to be in fall for the movie set on Halloween, too. And then it was in production until like February of 93?
Yeah, so they had like a good long, 5 or 6 months or so, and then it goes into editing, post-production, all that, and we finally get it in July of 1993.
Yeah, kind of an odd time for a spooky kids movie that's set at Halloween. I don't know if maybe they were trying to okay, we can push it out for VHS, but when you think about it, no, because back then those were the days where it was 6 months after a theatrical release you finally got it on VHS.
Yeah, and this was back in the day where a movie might possibly stay in theaters for months if it does well, and maybe that could have been their hope, is that it'll just get to stay in theaters long enough, but it doesn't, and it actually takes life on Freeform / ABC family. It gets a whole new life when it comes to the 31 Days of Halloween, and now it's ingrained in pop culture.
Mm-hmm. And I gotta say, we are Hocus Pocus originals. This was one of my all-time favorite movies as a kid. It's a movie that's near and dear to my heart. It's definitely kinder horror. It's gateway horror.
Yes.
We love covering kids spooky movies because most of them have something to do with our own nostalgia and our own memories
and our own
upbringing.
Just exposure. Yeah, our experiences and exposures to horror movies and the like.
And there was something very special about this one, even as a kid. I would watch it non-stop. I still have family members that don't see me for a while. That's one thing they'll always bring up. Remember when you watched Hocus Pocus all the time? Yeah, I do.
Who wasn't? If you were of a time, of a generation, you were doing the same. And if you weren't, I'm sorry. Make up for lost time.
Yeah.
Get to it. It's on the Disney Plus app. And now they've dropped Hocus Pocus 2, but that's for another podcast.
Yeah, we watched that last week. It was really cute. So, yeah, this is definitely a movie that's perfection for Halloween. Brings out all the spooky feels. And should we just fly on into it?
I couldn't agree more. And that segues us right into the opening of Hocus Pocus.
We start in 1693. We start with that great aerial view. The score is fantastic. It immediately grips you and pulls you into the world of this movie.
And it keeps you there.
It does.
The music and the composition it's just incredible.
Yep. You're getting like a witch's eye view of Salem in 1693. And once we fly into Salem, we don't fly back out until the movie's over.
We can hear a melodic voice luring this child that we see walking in the forest, and we'll figure out who that is in just a moment. But we next see a boy laying in bed. He awakens and he is urgently looking around for his sister.
Emily! And you might recognize the voice as Aladdin or Goofy's son, Max.
Yes, Max. And what's funny is, here he is playing Binks. Who's going to be hanging out with Max, and then later he'll be in the Goofy movie playing Goofy's son, Max.
Yeah.
It's James Marsden. It's not the same, guys, but another Disney baby.
Yes.
And they loved his voice. I gotta agree. I mean, it's a great voice for TV, or how they'll say you have a voice for radio, but it's a really good. Oh, for
sure. And it's one of those you can put it on a lot of faces.
Yes.
It's a really good animator's voice. What do you say?
It's gonna be good for a cat.
Yeah.
So we have this boy waking up, and he is a teenager. He looks to be, what would you say, Josh, like 15 or so?
And it's actually a different actor playing the boy, but they went ahead and dubbed James Marsden's voice over everybody. Or not everybody,
over the actor, yeah.
All of his lines is what I meant to say.
And I will say, for the longest time, I would not have caught that. They do the dubbing, and what is that when is it ADR? Like,
after.
So, like, it looks uncanny.
Additional
like,
dialogue recording.
You don't really see a difference in, like, the lip movement or anything. So they had that guy in there probably watching the movie while he's, like, just, like...
Totally, that's how they do it.
Practicing over and over again. It just is done really well. It translates great to the screen. What was I going to say? Oh, so this character, Thackeray Binks. And he's going after his sister. He tells a friend as he's, like, running off into the forest.
And it's not Zachary with a lisp.
No.
Not Thackeray. It's just
Thackeray.
It's intended to be a TH.
Thackeray. And Thackeray's telling his friend Elijah, like, go tell the adults. Like, go find my parents. Go tell everybody in the village that...
I see my sister running off with a caped figure.
Yeah, when they know it's witches because it's 1693. So just a year before, they were getting rid of a lot of them.
So this is like, I guess, historically, if we want to put it in a historic context, like the remnants, they're living out in the woods, out in the outskirts of town, still hiding out, probably from the witch trials.
Yeah, these are like the hashtag leftovers. But maybe they were the witches all along, while we now know that no one was no one was truly a witch, that maybe they were out there all along? Question mark?
That's who it really was. It was the Sanderson sisters the whole time.
And to be very specific, it's Sarah Sanderson that's luring our sweet Emily.
Yes, played by Sarah Jessica Parker. Sarah.
Sarah, and she is just bringing this child to the cottage that is deep in the woods.
Yeah, but we find out that the three sisters, in order to stay young and youthful, they have to suck the life out of a child. And right now, they're feeling a little old and ragged.
They're looking a little haggard.
They're looking a little dusty.
Musty and
a little musty and dusty.
And crusty.
They look like they could dry beef down there.
Oh, Josh, you went there. You're awful. You're terrible.
I stole that from Strangers with Candy. I can't claim that line as my own, but...
No. But if you know, you know. And now you all know.
Yes.
The secret's been revealed. So we have Thackeray trying to find a way to get in while we are introduced to our witches.
And poor Emily's already, like, in trance. She's already kind of glowing. You can tell her essence is surrounding her. Her soul is
They've given her the potion.
Yeah, they've given her the potion. They're running around acting like idiots. It's a really good introduction to their character
Yes, they are kind of reminiscent of, like, Three Stooges.
Yeah.
But you've got Winifred Sanderson, who is this red-haired, fiery character. She's, witty and verbally abusive to her sisters.
Do you think the carpets match the drapes? Winifred Sanderson?
We are covering a Disney movie. Guys, it's like almost like anytime we cover any Disney, if we're on our YouTube channel and we're doing a reaction video, like, Josh cannot help it.
Oh, please. Go back to our Wizard of Oz episode. You talk about...
Don't bring this up!
Dorothy smoking a cigarette.
Judy Garland.
And her vagina.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, you've gone there before.
One time.
Many a time. But anyways, like you were saying, yeah, they're acting like the Three Stooges. We're getting a really good look into, like, their dynamic, their personalities, who they are. Like, one is really stupid.
Yes.
Well, actually, two are very stupid.
They're all, like, they're the Three Stooges. They all are just, and they're very, but they're all different. The physical comedy is different for each of them. Sarah Sanderson, who's Sarah Jessica Parker's character.
She's like the ditzy bombshell.
Yes. And then you've got Mary Sanderson, who we learned by watching some trivia stuff. She kind of, like, decided that her character might have inherited some, like, hound dog traits, which is kind of funny.
That's why she's like growling and barking and sniffing all the time.
Yeah, she's in charge of sniffing out the children, and I guess Sarah's in charge of luring them with her sweet melodic voice. And then Winnie's the brains of this comedic operation.
She's the ringleader of the group.
She's the older sister.
Yeah, she has her wits about her the most out of all of them.
She keeps them in line and keeps them on task, even though she'll herself digress or get distracted with her own. They're all just a bottle of fun.
Yeah. But they start sucking the soul out of Emily, and Thackeray is trying to save her at this point. Like, there's a struggle ensues. They see him.
Yeah, he creeps in through a window that becomes such a staple of this movie. This window that gets opened and closed by Winifred whenever she wants to, like, look outside, and there's that fun line of, like, oh, what a glorious morning.
Makes me sick.
Or when she's, like, opening and going, book! But, yeah, he gets in, and we also see that they have, like, magical powers.
Yeah, and we're introduced to the book, which is her spell book that is all-seeing. It even has an eyeball. It's made out of skin.
Yeah, it's all bound by flesh and has fingers that are literally gripping the book. It's a well-designed contraption, and she is obviously trying to make this potion, get this kid's soul so they can stay young for a little bit, and they have to keep doing that.
Unfortunately, they succeed, and poor Thackeray he gets taken by the witches himself, and they're like, haha, fool, you took too long, and now we're going to do something to you, and it's going to be something that lasts. You're going to have this punishment for a long time. And they decide to turn him into a cat.
Yes, they have a fun little spell that they cast, and if you know it, you know it.
Oh, it's bend the bones and twist the back. Epically comedy, magical mystic.
Trim him of his baby fat.
We're like fucking this up bad.
I know. I need to have the words in front of me.
Yeah.
But
turn his fur black as black.
Yeah, just like this.
Yeah.
And
he gets all small.
Gets all transfigured into a cat.
He turns into a pussy. Okay. Just say it, Justine.
I was not going to just say that.
He turns into literally a pussy cat.
Yes, he is a black pussy cat.
If he put little shoes on, he'd be Puss in Boots. Okay.
And he talks.
He does.
He
has the same voice.
Super adorable, but yet he will live on forever. That is his curse, is that he will be a cat forever and walk the grounds of Salem. Not able to, like, talk to his family. His sister is dead in a chair. Her hair is now, like, gray. They've literally sucked the life out of her.
They sucked it.
And Sarah Sanderson, she says, like, I'm beautiful. Like, she's very into her looks.
Yeah, they're all very vain. Even Bette Midler, who's the ringleader, she's maybe the vainest. Next to Sarah.
Yeah. And Mary is just like, I'm
feeling good.
Yeah, like, I get to act like a dog again and not be all humpbacked and stuff. So the townspeople make it there, but the damage has been done, and the Binks family have lost both of their children. They don't realize that Thackeray's been turned into
because I guess at this point he hasn't learned English or regained his voice because he's meowing at them. They're like, "Be gone, kitty!"
Yeah, and you would think that he would be like, I'm gonna need to convince everyone that this is me, so I'll start talking. But who knows? That doesn't matter. We love this movie.
But they're gonna hang the witches. But before they can, Winifred calls on her precious book, and the book flips open to a spell or an incantation that she can recite at the last moment. And she does, and she warns them, we will be back when a virgin lights my candle. Don't you love it when a virgin lights your candle?
Oh, they always do. It's the black flame candle.
Yeah, when they light my black flame
candle.
On Halloween. Thank you.
And so it becomes...
We will be back.
Thackeray Binks's, like, mission for eternity to guard the cottage of the Sanderson sisters so that no one goes in there, and if they're a virgin on Halloween, decides to light that candle.
Yeah, God, Thackeray's lived through so much.
But poor Thackeray Binks, you know, he's forever cursed to just walk the earth as a cat, and we're cursed to be by this fucking semi forever and ever. Amen. Okay.
But
Jeez. But that segues into...
Yes, it segues into the school, and all this has been told to us by a teacher. That is how the story opens.
Yeah, we're transferred into modern times, and we get to meet all of our new characters.
Yeah, even earlier when the book first started, it was that classic Disney opening of a book. You know, how they used to do with their old animation. So I love how it is kind of like a story being told. And in this case, it started, we were getting all that exposition told by the teacher, and now we're going to meet Max and Allison.
Yeah, Max is sitting in this class listening to a tale that, you know, you probably imagine is told in Salem
All the time.
every Halloween. Where they just live it, love it, laugh it, you know, that's
Live,
their
laugh,
vibe. And he's like, nah, I don't think so. And the teacher's like, oh, really? Well, give us your laid-back California tie-dye take on all of it.
Yeah, everybody is so, like, wrapped up in the idea that, whoa, this guy's from California, that, like, they're just always poking fun at him, like...
Yeah!
You know, it's very
what?
East Coast, West
Yes.
Coast.
Like, they're like, no, we're... East Coast is the best coast, and now here you are, and you've been transplanted here. He doesn't like it in Salem, by the way.
Yeah,
he thinks
pissed.
and he thinks that Halloween was designed by the candy corporations, and that's when we meet Allison, who immediately, like, takes to task. You know, she's like, by the way, it's actually All Hallows Eve, and there's like some real bullshit behind all of it, and my name in reals is Vanessa with an I.
Vanessa.
Vanessa.
And she's like, listen, this is real. If you want to get with me, you got to get with my friends, the Sanderson sisters, okay?
If you want to be my butt. And we're like, wait,
you got to
no,
get
that's
with my friend. Got to
4
get with my
years
friend.
before that song comes out. Like, Vanessa, calm down. Get back on track. So then she's just like, okay, whatever. I think you're kind of strange. And then he gives her his number.
Yeah, he's acting like incredibly douchey right now. He's like, well, you know, I forget what he even says, but he's like,
If
it's
Jimi
kind of
Hendrix
attitude.
showed up or something, I don't get it. But
He's just very like, "Ugh."
I'm trying to be suave here.
But I'm 15 and sound like a dork.
Here's my number. Pass a note in class. And then he sees her outside, and they're both kind of like walking, you know, it's end of day of school, and everybody's excited because it's Halloween, and they're going to like get their rocks off. There's a Halloween bash that's going to happen.
Who is getting their rocks off? No one does that in this movie. Oh my god.
Who's getting their rocks off?
Maybe with their socks off?
Yeah. Well, everybody, it's just exciting. It's Halloween. They're all going
Yeah,
to
I
be
get what you're
trick-or-treating,
saying.
and if you're the adults, you're excited because you're going to the Halloween bash, and if you're Allison, you're excited because your name really is Vanessa.
And you're gonna wear like a corset that pushes your titties up
Yeah,
to your chin.
Yeah, yabos.
Your yabos up to
Oh
your
my
chin.
gosh. Okay, so anyways, Max is like, all right, peace, Allison, I'll see you later. And she is like, okay, bye. And she gives him like a little PG-13 moment, a la Scream style, and shows off her yabos.
And then she like swings him around, slaps him in the face. It's incredibly awkward for like a PG.
Yeah, and she's like,
movie.
do your boobs hang low?
Do they wobble to and fro?
Can you
Tie him in a bow?
Can you tie him in a knot? Can you tie him in a
Can you
bow?
throw him over your shoulder like a
Continental
soldier? So fucking stupid. Anyways.
Oh my god, Vanessa.
Vanessa, we love you.
We do
I actually
fucking
stand Vanessa.
love Vanessa
And
Shaw.
Eyes Wide Shut.
She
Vanessa
is
Shaw
perfection.
is so good.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
gorgeous.
Anyways,
So,
so
talented and gorgeous. Love her.
before we go off and be completely tangential, let's get back to business. So Max takes this bicycle for a ride around beautiful Salem, and we get all of these like little shots of what would probably be downtown Salem with all the
cemeteries,
trees.
the trees. He's riding home from school, and he's cutting through the cemetery, and he gets abruptly stopped.
Abruptly is different than being abruptly.
It's when it's even quicker than abruption. It's
You can't even get the word right. It happens so fast.
But he gets abruptly accosted. Or acousted,
depending on where you're from. Tomato, tomato. But
that happens.
That happens. He comes across this like area of like I don't know, mausoleums,
it's
crypts, or whatever.
It's one of the oldest. We're actually going to visit it for the podcast. It's an old cemetery, one of the oldest in Salem.
Yes, and so he's like, "Oh, let me cut through here. It's just filled with dead people." No, it's not. There's 2 high school bullies hanging out. Jay and Ernie, quote,
no,
Ice.
don't call him Ernie. He goes by Ice. And can I tell you something funny? This was like my favorite movie as a kid. Even though I knew Ice was an idiot and a douche, I had the barber shave my initials in the back of my head, a la like Ice, the summer of...
Oh my gosh.
I think it was the summer of 94, because, this movie came out in 93, so I would have been watching on VHS, like, more so in, like, 94.
Man, you JDR'd that,
Actually, I just put JR, so...
okay.
Then I get really mad when people would call me Junior. I'm like, it's not Junior, it's my initials. And then I was, like, embarrassed and, like, couldn't wait for it to grow out.
Oh my... you know what, Josh? That's ace. That fits perfectly in your life stories. Of like all the things that you share with me. Yeah, that makes sense. As the kids would say, that tracks.
It tracks.
It tracks.
For sure.
Okay, so Max, though, he gets bullied in the cemetery
They steal
by
his shoes.
Jay and Ice and take his trainers, man.
And they call him Hollywood. They're like, hey, Hollywood.
I know. That's like, okay, so is everybody... Well, I get that he's from LA, so no, that makes sense.
Like,
but it's
tubular, dude. Yeah, just...
Like, would they have called, like, somebody who was from Dallas, like, all right, cowboy?
Yeah, they would have.
Okay.
Totally.
Yeah.
So.
Or, like, from West Virginia, like, all right, coal miner's daughter.
Yeah. Oh, R.I.P. Loretta Lynn. She just died yesterday.
Yeah, that just happened. I didn't even think when I was
you want to figure out when we're
connecting
recording.
Yeah. Anyways, so let's see. We've just had the accosting, whatever.
Abruptly.
Of Hollywood Max, and so now he is heading home from the cemetery.
Shoeless.
And I love the house.
Poor boy's just in his white tube socks.
Yes, which is like, there was a time and place for that, and it was 1993.
Or at the gym.
Yeah. And he gets to his house, which is gorgeous and beautiful and looks almost like a little lighthouse house. Like it has like...
Oh, it's so cute. I've always wanted that house.
Yes, like it's a perfect New England house.
It's got a little perch. It's got like, what do they call it? Like a little peekaboo perch.
Like just like a little viewing, like I swear it's where like you might have put like a light, at the top to kind of like signal that you're home.
Yes,
so,
it was like a little widow's, like, hey, I'm over here, hubby, window.
A widow's window?
For like maritime days.
Okay.
It's like where a little lady would like flash a boobie or two at the sailors and be like, I'm over
right here, Boogaboo. Here you go.
But he lives in a great house. He goes in. His parents already are concerned. Like, what happened to his shoes? And they're like, oh, it must be new fashion.
Kid stuff.
Yeah. And
even though he like stomps up the stairs and he's like, I hate it here.
But,
they're still like, oh, must be like a new fashion.
Way of rebelling or something. And he goes in, he's laying on his bed feeling sorry for himself, and he starts getting all like weird and horny and humping his bed, saying like, Allison, oh,
well,
Allison.
he's like cuddling a pillow, making a little puddle, thinking about Allison.
Making a little love to that pillow. It gets a little awkward.
And out jumps the funnest jump scare of this movie. Out jumps from the closet, not a scary monster.
Or a homosexual.
But a Thora Birch.
But a Thora Birch.
It's Danny.
And we are introduced to Danny. She's already dressed up for trick-or-treating. She's dressed up as a witch herself.
Yes.
She's so excited. She scares her brother, embarrasses him, and she's like, hey, brother, you're taking me trick-or-treating.
Allison. And she's all like...
Oh, Allison.
Saying like, oh, no, you can't beat me up, brother, but I'm going to also, like...
You gotta take me trick-or-treating tonight.
Yeah, make fun of you, and then you gotta take me on a little trick-or-treat.
Mom said so.
Boop, boop. And so that's what we do next, is we go trick-or-treating with Danny and Max.
And of course, what happens? He's taking his little sister out being nice, and they run into Jay and Ernie.
Yeah,
And
the
he gets
cemetery
bullied again.
guys.
And this is one of my favorite lines. They're like, what are you supposed to be, Hollywood? Or what do they call him? They call him a name. And she's like, well, for your information, he's a little leaguer. And they're like, ugh.
Like,
Oh, how embarrassing, bro. How embarrassing.
it's like, sorry, they're just jerks. It's just that time.
And
have
Max
to
has
forgive
to
them.
give up his candy, and he earned that candy taking it, going around with his sister.
So then he's all sulking, and he's all like, I hate it here. And then Danny's all sulking, and she's like, I hate it here, but this is our home now. And, like, you've got to be nice to me because, you know, we're, like, in this together. And, like, I'm Danny.
And I love how she throws herself Disney style, like Disney princess style, across some pumpkins. You know, it's like a palette of jack-o'-lanterns she just throws herself on. It's like,
Like Snow White.
And then, you know, they kind of come to terms with each other, like, all right, we're in this together. You're my sister. I love you. I'm sorry this happened. And they look up at the house, and it's like this huge mansion. They're like, damn, let's go in and get some candy, girl.
I bet you they got the full-size candy, and they got, like, the apple cider and all that. And they are so excited. They knock on that door.
And they just welcome
walk
themselves
in,
in.
yeah.
But luckily, a friend is at the top with her yabo sticking up to her chin. It's Allison. Vanessa.
She's looking so cute and like colonial, like dress-up costume.
She looks really pretty.
Her hair's like all in an updo.
Kind of Belle style, like a little bun, but
She
down.
looking
at the
so
same time.
cute. She looking snatched, looking like she got a good beat on and everything. And she's a vibe.
People love her.
And she's, like you said, walking down, because where, I guess this is her house, you know, and she happens to be that rich bitch in town. And so she's walking down this grand staircase with her TTs out.
And she's like, oh, hey guys, welcome to my humble abode. My parents are boring. They're having this big party they do every year.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, it's cool. It's neat. She's like, I love your costume, Danny. And she's like, yeah, I do too. That's why I wore it.
Oh, thank you. But then they kind of get talking
about the witches,
talking about
because
the
it's Danny's.
Sanderson sisters and how Danny just learned about them. And Allison's like, oh yeah, well my mom used to like run the museum, but spooky things were happening.
She's like, let me hook you up with an adventure tonight.
Yeah.
I'm going to welcome you to town. We're going to go have an adventure. Let's go, girl. Let me go slip into something more comfortable.
Yes, Allison's like, let me give you that unique tourist experience that doesn't ever get to the behind the scenes.
The museum's apparently been closed for a while. No one's been in it because like you said, some spooky things were happening. So they go on their merry way. Vanessa goes and changes into a practical t-shirt and a cardigan for the evening.
It's a good look. I mean,
some
what's going to
jeans.
happen is necessary because there's going to need to be some doubles every now and then. So
Omri's
perfect
got
layering.
his ball cap and his what kind of jacket?
It's gonna be like a bomber jacket. Yep. Like
So-
we're saying, everybody's got on layers because we're gonna get active in this movie. We got running and jumping,
And it's fall.
It is fall. It's sweater weather / layers.
Sweater weather.
baby.
Oh,
Layers.
we're about to go over some loud shit, guys.
Oh.
It can't be helped.
I'm so sorry. We're going over a bridge. We're going over a bridge, and now we're going on to the next scene.
And now we are at the Sanderson sisters' house.
And so they don't even have to bust in because Allie Girl, she got them keys.
They've
so
got the key.
they just go in like they own the place.
They got the key to the city.
And Max is immediately feeling like he's got to size up to Allison. And so he sees the black flame candle and he's like, oh, should I light it? Which I love because he reads the directions about how like,
Yeah, he's just outing himself as a
Yeah.
virgin, which he acts really embarrassed about, like the rest of the movie.
And I'm just kind of like, hold on, you're like 15.
Oh boy, you're 15, it's cool.
Like it's totally acceptable.
Be embarrassed when you're like
It's
20.
It's always acceptable. You
And
never
never feel shame.
never
for-
feel like you've got to meet any kind of like deadline.
There should be no shame in the way you sex or don't sex.
Whatever it is, that's you, boo.
People sex, some people don't sex.
Some people sex when they wanna, and some people sex all the time, and they want to do that. And then some people don't sex at all, and
Some
they want to
people
do that.
Don't want to sex, and
Yeah.
that's fine. We love you.
I don't.
Did I get myself out of that hole?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think you're okay. I don't think we need to keep going with this. So
he lights it
the
up.
candle, and then obviously the black flame
Flames.
ignites.
It gets black. It
gets
flames,
black,
and
and-
immediately
Yep, the floorboards are all rumbling.
lights are popping.
And there's like pop, 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 and then they're all ducking down. You got like,
Screaming.
oh, ah!
Oh,
There's
and guess what?
Steam and dirt and
Lightning
green
flashes.
lights like happening.
And here
And
come
then-
our ladies.
Boom, the door opens and them bitches is there. Them three bitches that we love so much. We got Mary, Sarah, and in the middle, always Winnie.
They're back. And immediately they start going to work. She finds her book.
They sniffing out some kids. They are like, I can smell it. I can smell it. Mary finally like pops her nose like right on top of the counter, and up pops Danny. She's like, hey, and she's
Poor
all
Danny.
dressed as a little witch.
Danny is so scared too, but
but she's brave.
but she's brave and she keeps her cool and she's like, I'm gonna navigate this.
Oh, hi there, sisters. It took you a long time. I've been summoning you, and they're
all
a
like,
little
"Mhm.
like, I don't think
Girl,
so.
we don't know you.
Don't know you.
We don't fuck
and
with you, okay?
If you did that, it's your funeral. Like, you must have a death sentence because you got to know that we as kids eating bitches. Like, did you not read your history lesson?
Did you want us to eat you? Like, or what's going on?
Strange, but
So they kind of immediately go, they're like, girl, we don't believe you, so we're gonna eat ya. And they take her by force. They're grabbing her by her ankles.
they're like biting at her and stuff.
They're like
And
ankle biting.
obviously, Max decides like, I'm gonna have to save my sister, which is not even the arc of the movie. They're a duo all the time.
Yeah,
Like,
they
they're
are.
a good brother-sister duo. They never really lose sight of each other. They fight for each other throughout this movie.
And this
And that's a theme.
duo becomes a trio.
Yes, because then they got Allison. So they got distraction. Max is like, Max is good. He thinks real quick on his heels, you know?
Yeah.
He doesn't even take but 2 beats to realize he's going to need to get everybody out of the situation. He has a lighter, and he lights the sprinkler system, and obviously the water.
And it trips them out when he lights the lights the Zippo lighter. Mary's like, he makes fire in his hands.
in his hands!
Or Winifred says that he makes fire in his hands.
There's a lot of like these little like side lines.
So
that
many
happen.
hilarious little quips.
Oh, I
and
love it.
one-liners.
And it does set off the sprinkler unit, so water is going everywhere. In like a classic witch, they cannot get wet, so they're
Well, he also tells them it's the burning rain of death. Is what he tells them. It's the burning rain of death, and they're freaking out because they're getting wet. And then finally they're like, wait, this is but water!
but they've already left. Max and
Yeah,
they
they've already
caused
run
enough
away.
of a chance, and they get the book. So they steal Winnie's book, and she is.
So now
Pissed.
the hunt is on, and they immediately run into like the cemetery.
But
don't
hold
they?
on, we have to also point out that there's been a
Binks.
cat that like shows up and is also helping save the day and talks to them. And that's the first time that we hear Binks the cat talk, is when he jumps on top of the book and is like, what the hell were you thinking to Max?
And Binks was really nervous to talk for the first time in
Like a long
300
time,
years.
because he
was
just
like,
hadn't heard his voice.
he was like, I've been practicing.
Oh
Here's
my
my
God.
first time to get to talk to a person.
How come we never get like a Binks I Want I Need song?
We need
It's a Disney.
We need like a whole series of like Binks adventures.
Throughout all the years.
It could almost be like The Mandalorian, but it's like just about
Oh my
Binks.
God. The
and
times that he's deterred.
people from bringing
Lighting
the witches
it.
back. Call us Disney.
Oh my God, we have like at least 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Like I can do it. We've got enough years that we could fit in.
But we have an arc for the first season already. figured
Already,
out.
you just let us know. Just let us know. We'll be right here, Disney. Just give us a call.
So now the trio knows they have a magical cat on their side.
Yes, and he leads them to the safe place,
That's
which
right.
is the graveyard.
Yeah, he tells them it's hollowed ground. The witches cannot land here.
Yeah,
they
he's
can
having to
fly
fill
above
them in.
it, but they can't land here. He's like, also salt will protect you. No, they find that out later, but salt will protect
but he takes them to the graveyard, and then he gets a little bit of downtime to be like, this is why I know all these things. This is why I'm a talking cat. And then also we have the sisters realizing, oh, it's just water. It's not like gonna melt us. We're fine.
And that's one of the, sorry to cut you off, one of the funny elements about the movie is now we get like a whole fish out of water element with the witches anytime they're out and about town or experiencing,
Yes.
new modern life.
Oh, their reactions to cars, to like ambulances, to the concrete ground.
Let's say the pavement.
Like just that alone is hilarious. Anything modern, the TV, like we're gonna get like a hilarious
moment of them
from
trying
them.
to figure it out.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the sisters find brooms, and that's after they've had some reactions
Modern
to the world.
brooms,
Yeah, some
too.
modern brooms, and they take off and they have their brooms. They don't get like
They do that
modern
later.
things
That's
later.
right. When the little kids steal
Yes.
the brooms. later.
So we have them get on their brooms and they fly over the graveyard, knowing that they can't land in it,
Yeah.
that it's hollowed ground, and
guys,
they are.
And the special effects are so good with the flying. They did a
Love
lot of
it.
harness work, a lot of. It's pretty much all practical.
Yeah.
Them flying, and it looks really good.
You can tell that they had to have spent a lot of time in those harnesses because they all maneuver around their brooms or their makeshift brooms.
And apparently no one really liked it except from Sarah Jessica Parker. She talked about she would get upset when it was time for her to get out of her harness. She would sit up there and read for hours in between takes and just really enjoyed her time.
While
in
the others are like all
harnesses.
uncomfortable and like, get me out of here! To each their own.
Yeah, I guess she was enjoying like the zero gravity effect maybe it was having or something.
Light as a feather. So they hover over the graveyard, and then Winnie's like, okay, if I can't get you, if you're just going to hang out in there, well, what I can do is I still have resources, so I'm going to say a spell, and I'm going to raise out of the grave a lost love, a love that like burned me, Billy Butcherson, and she has a good little, spell that she says, a little rhyme, and up he comes, and it frightens all of them.
Yeah, he's green, grotesque, his mouth is shut, he's a rotting corpse. And he looks nasty. And this is our Doug Jones playing Billy Butcherson. He's thin as a rail, and he immediately, he can't talk or say anything, but he doesn't go after them, but he's coming for them.
Yeah. Well, because she is giving him direction, like, go after them, follow them wherever they go.
Yeah.
And although we see him with his physical body display that he doesn't really care for her, his
Yeah.
mouth is sewn up shut, so he doesn't get to articulate that. He can gesticulate it, but he's still under her curse, or a spell. So he has to go after the kids. They're scared. Binks knows a place to get out of the cemetery without through the gates. He takes them down into the sewer
Yeah, it's
of
really
the cemetery.
creepy. It's like the Salem crypt. I wonder if there's even such thing. And it leads them to the sewer.
But they get away, and we get that classic line from Winifred of "Damn, damn, double damn!"
Woo! Yeah, we do. And they're crawling through the sewer, and they're going to go up through the little manhole, right?
Yes.
To escape.
And this is taking a while. They have quite a little journey to get to the manhole because the sisters are like, well, what are we going to do? How are we going to go after them? They're kind of coming up with a plan, and then these kids take their brooms.
Yeah.
And what's funny is the kids are also dressed like them.
Yes.
They kind of are looking around too at all of the trick-or-treaters that are passing by. They don't understand how modern Halloween works, so they're like, wait, there's goblins and shit.
Yeah. And the
it's
girls that
confusing.
steal your brooms, that they're modeled after our witches because of the colors of the costume, the hair design, and that's one of the fun things about this movie. They're not dressed all in black witches. They're each color coordinated a different way.
Yeah,
They're all
it's
very
meta.
unique, and so it's really funny to have them dressed and styled to the T, and then they steal the brooms and fly away.
And they're like, bye! Woo! And they do the, like, little girls, like, all zoom off.
Yeah, you hear, like, the swoosh of all of them as they walk off camera.
Yeah, so they've got to figure out, like, how exactly they're going to get around, and they don't realize they're standing by a bus stop. And so then this, like, large carriage, as they call it, arrives, and we get another fish out of water, them figuring out how to get on the bus.
Sarah Jessica Parker is sitting on the driver's lap, kind of
Yeah,
hopping
like,
down all
going,
nasty.
Boop, boop, speed bump, and that's when, so they get out of the kids get out of the sewer, but not before that bus goes by
And hits Binks.
And so they're all like crying and sad.
And we
like,
get this awful tragic moment where Binks is completely like smushed.
he's like run over.
And everyone's just like shocked. I remember the first time seeing it too, being like, oh my god. And you know, everyone's crying, upset about Binks, and then he just inflates back like a balloon. He's like, guys, I'm cool. I can't die, remember? It's like, whatever you do to me, I'm gonna be back because I have a curse.
Yeah. So we're fine. Let's move on with our lives.
Yeah.
Next, the girls arrive back at like another because they're trying to sniff out where the
and they're
children
like,
are.
And they're like,
which is everywhere.
I smell children everywhere, but I don't see them.
And they're standing right in front, because they get off the bus, and then they're standing right in front of Satan's house.
There's a man handing out candy and just like your typical cartoonish Satan outfit.
It's Gary Marshall
Yes.
who's playing Satan, and they're all like, Master!
It's Master! And they're all running towards him.
And they, I guess, have had guests over all night, so he's like, yeah, come inside. We still have like treats out and everything. And then we see the lady of the house, who's played by Penny Marshall.
She is disgruntled. She's in her bathrobe, her curlers or whatever those weird little things are in her hair.
Yeah, those little they're like rubber things that I used to like. I know so many of my mom's friends that's how they would like curl their hair at night. Is with those. But so Penny Marshall, who is Gary Marshall's sister in real life, they're having like a House of the Dragons moment.
Playing brother and sister, playing husband and wife.
Yes, it's so very like Game of Thrones.
It's funny.
It's strange.
They're both kind of like iconic people. I guess I can see why they're like, oh, I'll put them in, have them play. At least there's nothing romantic happening.
Yeah,
they hate each other.
They do, yeah. Even though they call each other like Smoochie or whatever, Muffin.
And this is one of the funnier like fish out of water moments because they completely think it's the devil.
Yeah.
They're really confused as to why like his wife is back talking him. They're like, how you cannot speak to him to Master that way.
And when like Winifred goes into the kitchen, she calls it like a death chamber or
Yes,
something
this
like
is a torture chamber.
Yes, it's so funny because it's just the kitchen.
Mary watches TV for the first time. It's like this baby commercial. She's like wants to catch the baby. Like
she's like screaming with exhilarated, like she's like all out of breath by trying to get him.
And they get kicked out of the house for running amok.
Amok. And so they kind of realize after that Halloween has been turned into something that wasn't even really Master. These are in fact children. She like takes off one of the masks of a kid going by, and
that kid's basically like, fuck you, lady.
Yeah, when he's like, look, it's not even really like goblins, it's just children. That's why you can smell them everywhere. It is them, and like they don't treat Halloween like we do.
They're like, what has become of our sacred holiday?
And they're like, you know what? We've really got to get the book. And so they keep sniffing out the trio. And
their noses are getting them closer.
And now they have all arrived at this big Halloween bash. And we learned of it earlier because all of the parents were talking about, like, we're going to the Halloween bash. And so that's just when parents got to just get out of the house away from their kids for a few hours. That they are
like,
just
you guys take care of yourselves on
going
Halloween.
Crazy.
Glorious times.
And they've got like they're all in costume too, and that's also hindering the kids from finding their parents because they don't know what their parents went dressed as. But
they finally do find the Halloween bash, right? And they see. Do they see their parents going in?
No, they're searching for their parents throughout it because they don't know what they're dressed as, and like Danny even has to look inside like a dinosaur costume and be like, Mom, and the person's shaking their head like, no. But they find that mom is dressed like Madonna, dad's dressed like Dracula.
And like Madonna with the cone movie.
Yes, like with that little headpiece,
Yes.
all that. But nobody believes that. Like, none of the parents believe them. And Max, like, there's a stage and there's a singer, and he decides he's gonna, like, get on the stage and try to tell all the adults about the Sanderson sisters returning.
And at first, it's kind of funny because the audience goes from concern to like, oh, there's a kid on stage trying to warn us about something, to they're laughing at him. Like,
Yeah.
he gets laughed at.
Like,
No one
oh, it's a
believes
bit.
him. He points out the Sanderson sisters. Like, they're right over there.
Yes, and they are over there, and they're trying to act all like incognito,
And then,
but they realize.
yeah, and then it becomes Winifred's time to shine. And
Yeah.
she knows it. She's like, oh, a stage for me? Okay, here we go.
And she performs her "I Put a Spell on You" because she had heard the other guy singing it, so she just kind of like figured out like, oh, they love hearing music. I could just take that spell and actually turn it into a spell.
And guys, this is a showstopper of a number. If you haven't seen Hocus Pocus, this is when they bring the
Yeah.
house down.
Everybody is in it. The people are like doing a recall. Like, they'll say a part, and then the crowd will say a part. Like, they have no idea that they're actually like helping the spell along.
And they don't realize they're being put on
Yeah.
under a spell in that
It's
moment.
like Danny and Max and Allison are all like, no, don't listen
Cover your
to
ears,
it.
cover your ears, but everyone's just having a damn good time.
Like, yeah, you put a spell on me. Woo! And
They're like, yeah, you did.
Winifred's in the song, she's telling them, like, you guys are going to dance the night away. You're not going to pay any mind to what we're all doing, because we're going to abduct your children and then you take all their souls
Well,
because
your
we want to
party.
live forever. But
You're not even going to regret it. 'Cause
Nope.
You're going to have so much fun tonight.
you are not going to be any the wiser that we killed all of your kids. But now, group sees group. You know, the Sanderson sisters see the kids, and the kids know that, so they got to run away, and they go to hide.
And they make a stop at their school. They're like, okay, here's our high school. So that
Yeah, because Allison gets an idea when they're hiding, because she hides behind an appliance, and is like, oh, an oven. Like, I have an idea.
Yeah, oh, that's right. And that guy's making the lobster, like, gets that poor little lobster.
And we hear in the background, les poissons, les poissons. Very Disney to keep putting Easter eggs and things. So they come up with a plan, which is to lure the sisters to the high school, to the kiln that's in the like arts and crafts area.
Where the kids make their pottery.
And they lure them in there by like a voice that's coming, and it's like teaching them French.
Yeah.
And Max is over the intercom being all cool, like he's like some MC. He's like, welcome to
Where the children make their clay bongs.
like high school hell or something.
Get into the kiln where the kids make their bongs.
Because that is exactly what kids were doing. Like, was making bongs in pottery class, no doubt. And they lure them in there, and then they shut the door, and they light it up on fire, and the sisters are like, what? And we see their, like, spirits, like...
They are getting fried. Witches did burn in Salem.
for one night.
Yeah.
And their spirits, like, hover, like, clouds above, like, they're all burnt up, and...
She's like, we're not really gone. Our ashes are still here, so we're going to come back.
We're going to come back. You guys are going to be all celebrating and talking about how you're going to be one wonderful little cat family, and you're going to take Binks home, and you guys are going to get all cuddled up because you think you've won the day.
And they do go get cuddled up. It's kind of awkward. I'm like, you
It's
guys
strange.
are underage. You're like
Yep.
15.
What's
Get off
happening?
one another.
And when they do get home, because they celebrate all the way home, basically.
They're so excited. And I got to say, as an audience, I remember the first time, and if it's your first time, you'll probably be excited too. You're like, wow, this is a short movie. They've already killed the Sanderson sisters.
And it's over.
Okay.
All right. And they get home, and they're celebrating more and making promises to the Binks cat. Like, our family's going to take care of you, and our family's family. But then everyone gets tired, and they fall asleep.
You'll be the family heirloom that everyone fights over for generations and tears our family apart.
Yes, exactly.
Because everyone wants the magical kitty.
And you'll have to choose. I'm going to put that on you. So you'll have to decide who inherits you.
Yeah.
But they're all asleep, and then And when they get there, and it's like 2 a.m. or something, they remark at the time, and
We're like, damn, it's like 3.
Where
I think
are-
they say it's 3 a.m.
yeah, like, where are our
They must be
parents?
having a good time.
And they are, because cut 2, we go to the high school, and they're still all dancing
Still
away,
dancing.
and that is an indicator that something.
It's,
I feel like there were a couple of indicators. The fact that like Binks is still a cat, if the Sanderson sisters are really dead.
Yeah, because the spell wasn't broken when they died. That should have been their first, unless they didn't realize that, like that the spell should have ended.
That's
when they
true,
died. Yeah.
because when they originally were hung, he had been cursed to.
And the kids might not have realized that the parents did get cursed. That
Yeah.
night. You know, they ran out of there. But yeah, they get home. They're like, man, they should be having fun. But it's our Vanessa.
Yeah.
It's Allison that remarks like, no, something's wrong.
Yeah, and even though I want to sleep here on your chest, I think it's best that I grab some salt and go.
Yeah. Because they do wait. I guess they doze for a little bit because they wake up. They're like, oh, it's 5 a.m. I've been laying on your boy chest for
Quite some time.
for 2 hours while my little 8-year-old sister sleeps 5 feet away from us.
It's strange.
No, I mean it's all innocent. We're
Yeah.
just putting a funny bit
But
on it.
we
But
want to be, gross about
as
it.
a kid, I
so.
didn't think anything of it. It's
No.
now as an adult, being like, oh, children,
The children were sleeping together? Oh
children
my gosh.
having children.
Contact? No! The moral police right here. So Max and Allison, they walk downstairs. He's gonna walk her outside, but then there's like a ruckus up top, and we realize that the witches have returned, and Allison wanted to I guess they both kind of wanted to help Binks out because they thought, well, maybe with the witches dead, we can make it better for him or see if we can.
Yeah, so they at one point had opened the book to see like what they could do. So this lured the witches. They knew exactly where the book
Yeah,
was.
like there's this bit, they can't see, the kids can't see it, but there's this like light, this basically signal to
the witches.
the witches, to Winnie, because she is just a remiss. They've come back from their ashy form, but now the night has gone on and they can't find the kids. But
And now they're having to ride like vacuums and like these. One of them's like a mop and just
not brooms anymore. They're just finding any old house domestic
anything with a
cleaning
pole.
tool. Yeah. And but that's okay because with that signal they know okay, they might actually survive. So Sarah goes around and starts singing this melody all around town that's luring the children out from their beds. And
oh, I have to mention that Max is going to go downstairs and get some salt and walk Allison home.
no,
Right?
I did.
Oh, that's after.
I just mentioned that.
I must have been looking at the cop or
Sorry.
something.
Yeah, so they're downstairs doing all of that. He's walking her home, and Sarah's going around, and then Winnie and Mary go cause a ruckus upstairs, and they abduct Danny and get the book.
And they interrupt an almost first kiss between Allison and Max.
An almost first kiss.
An almost first kiss on, I guess not even, on November 1st at 5 a.m. It's not even Halloween
It's not
anymore.
even Halloween, but so they get to they abduct Danny and they take her off, and now
they bust through that roof.
Max is waving kids down, no, don't follow that sound, and they've got to figure out how are they going to get Danny back, and they have limited time. They don't know what to do
because they have to get her before the sun rises, or the curse will last forever.
Forever. So, cut to we are. Oh wait. So, in between them finding Danny and all them, they abducted the cemetery guys.
Oh yeah, that is hilarious. Yeah, and because they called them ugly.
Yes.
While they were walking around on the street, the boys were out being perverts.
And it's 3 in the morning.
Yeah, they're talking about looking at through girls' windows, and they're TPing people, and they stumble upon the witches, and they call the witches ugly, and that gets them put into little kennels hanging from the ceiling.
It's hilarious. And Jay is hanging up there, and he's like, I'm sorry, we think you're really cute.
Yeah, that's one of my other lines. We didn't mean it. We think you guys are really cute.
But now that Winnie has Danny, so at the cottage is like the witches and all the kids are coming, and Danny, she's being restrained. Poor Binks is being held over the fire. He's all hot cat, hot cat.
Nobody wants a hot pussy. That means it's an STD, right?
Or something like that. The cemetery guys are hanging out, crying, and Danny takes it upon herself. She's like, you know, if I'm going out strong. I'm going to tell Winnie exactly who she is. And she's like, you're ugly. You're the ugliest thing that's ever happened. Like,
and Winifred doesn't even know how to take it. She just growls at her. She's like, "Arr!"
Yeah, she does not like being
called ugly.
But yeah, being called ugly.
Because she is. She's like very vain, but she tries to hide it, unlike SJP's Sarah.
Yeah, it's a little different. It's like she wants to stay young, but like she just ain't got the look. You know, it ain't Maybelline, I'll tell you that. And so now, and, you know, Sarah had called the kids with that like song, "Come Little Children, I'll take the away." Oh, that was beautiful. I got the mic like way up in your face for that one.
Does it sound good, everyone?
So Allison figures out though that like when the sun comes up, the witches, if they haven't like consumed souls, they're going to be gone. They're going to be dust.
Yeah.
And so that gives Max the idea. They're going to take this vehicle to the cottage, and that's how they're going to rescue Danny after she's given some harsh criticism.
And I love this part where the witches are flying next to them in the car. And
Yeah,
that's actually after.
It's coming up though.
Yeah.
Like, so they get to the Allison and Max get to the cottage, and Max has this line of like, you guys might not know something, but I do. Daylight saving time. And he opens the door, and he has like tinted the front lights of the automobile, so they have kind of like a dawn-esque.
Yeah, they just come. They
Color.
basically use their brights and flashing through the windows. They think it's the sun rising.
Yes. And so then the witches again think that they're like dying, and they're all like falling on the floor, and
Acting dumb. That's
it's
good.
not until everybody has like left. Well, not everybody, because Hollywood leaves the cemetery guys hanging.
Yeah, he's like, you guys stole my. Oh, and he takes his shoes.
He takes his shoes.
He gets his shoes back.
And then we have that fun scene where, as they're escaping in the car, the witches are on either side.
Yeah, it's flying. It's really cool. I remember as a kid thinking that was so thrilling.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, they're
Scary!
trying to escape by car, and the witches are flying next to them. What are they gonna do?
And they're just trying to get, like, to the graveyard again. They know that that's their, like, saving grace, is that graveyard. And Billy Butcherson, like, saves Max and the girls and shows them onto, like, a safe area. Kind of, basically, Billy proves himself.
Yeah, he was able to like cut the stitches out of his mouth, so he's able to communicate with the gang now and be like, "Hey guys, I might have stinky breath, but I'm here to help you."
Yeah,
okay?
and, like, she's a hag. I don't like her. You can do your own, like, heavy-duty work, Winnie. And then, we find out Billy has a potty mouth. And then Danny gets scooped up, though, by Winnie. She somehow, like, just is able to, like, scoop her up.
She does
She
that.
doesn't land in the graveyard.
An
but-
old-fashioned broom scoop.
Yep, broom and scoop.
Scoop and
Broom and scoop.
Broom and scoop
And
scoop
she's
and
got,
broom.
like, this potion, and she, you know, wants to give it to Danny, and Binks, like, knocks the potion
Binks.
out of Winnie's hand.
Binks is like, that's the same potion that killed my sister.
That's right. And I'm not going to let it happen again. No way.
And Binks becomes like a big black jaguar instead of a little black cat.
Oh, yeah. That definitely happens.
Yeah, no, that'd been cool though.
Because he could have, like, done that from the very beginning, but... and then Max picks it up, and he realizes that the only way to save Danny from Winnie, because Winnie could have had any of the children that were headed
She
the
could
way
have
to
had
the
it all.
cottage. She could have had the guys that were the cemetery guys, but her pride got in the way, and because Danny called her ugly, she was
Yeah.
like, no, I'm going to sacrifice everything to go for that child.
Look what your petty vengeance got you, Winnie. Nothing. Because now Max is gonna save his little sister.
He drinks the potion.
Yep. He's like, you have no choice but to let her go now, because you're gonna have to get me. You're gonna have to suck me off. Or I mean, you're gonna have to suck me. Suck my soul. You're gonna suck it, bitch. Is what he says.
That is exactly what Max
Something
Jennison
like that.
says.
I paraphrased a little bit.
Just like a small bit. mainly just for censorship, because he
Yeah.
actually said some pretty profane
Yeah, in the
things.
original McGarris
Yeah,
script,
it was real dark.
all of that.
Actually, I think he took his clothes off.
Said, "Suck it."
But the characters were all over the age of 18. So, okay, but Max, he's all aglow now, and Winnie's like trying to suck his soul, but she's too late. And the dawn has actually come, and all of the sisters.
And he doesn't get hard. She gets hard.
Oh
right?
yeah, she does turn into like a pillar.
That's right.
And then
Stone.
she explodes, and then the other sisters explode. Like
They're all like,
Sarah.
oh. I love Mary's response.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, bye-bye.
Bye bye. And they go poof, poof, poof. And Billy gets to finally get some sleep. He gets back into his
Yeah,
little.
he goes back. He's like, night, guys.
Yeah,
that was
and
wild.
see ya.
Wild night. Thanks. I
It's been
needed that.
300 years, but I'm out. And then we see that Binks is like
Dead.
laying dead, and
God, we've
Danny's getting all sad
We've,
again.
we've had to suffer his death 2 times. They've
Yeah.
gone for our jugular 2 times with this cat's death.
As a cat lady, like, I don't appreciate.
We don't like seeing dead cats, especially in a PG or PG-13 movie.
Not in a
okay?
Disney, even though you guys love to kill animals and parents off.
Yeah. He was a father to no one.
Like, how dare you?
He should have lived.
He never had a litter.
He never littered.
But then we hear Binks's voice, and we're like, what? Looking everywhere. Like, I'm all putting my ear up to the TV, like, where are you?
But I hear his voice.
But it's actually Thackeray Binks, and he's a spirit, and he's giving his farewells and his thank yous, saying I'll always be with you, but now I get to be with my sister because you guys won. Thank you for being a virgin.
And he's like, quit rubbing it in, dude. Okay.
Yeah. But so that's the end. As he goes off, he sees Emily
And she's like, thou, Zachary, thou dost taketh forever its downfall. And he's like, sorry, sis.
yeah, in a real old English way.
He's like, I had 300
inquiring.
years of...
I had to wait for a virgin
And
to
to
light
light
a
the
candle. And then we get this cute little like zoom in shot of Max and his sister Danny, and
And they have the dead being still, and they're like, oh, is this still our family heirloom?
is this still for me?
Will another soul go into this cat now?
Any takers? And then like it ends and the credits start, but then we get like a little bit of a credit sequence of like the parents leaving the party, and they're finally out from under the spell.
The credits are pretty funny.
And the cemetery boys are still hanging, and nobody. I mean, I guess eventually somebody's gonna have to like check it.
Yeah, someone will go to the museum.
Yeah, they're gonna get hungry.
They'll see a broken window or two at the museum and be like, oh, what's going on? What's happening over there?
And our last shot is just like it opened with that book, Hocus Pocus. It ends with us, but on book.
Is it really over?
The end.
Oh.
His eye is open, and then it closes, and that's the end. And then cut to black and credits, and we get the names.
We're
and
sobbing, we're cheering, high-fiving, we're like, fuck, that was the greatest movie.
That was it's been how many
29
years now?
years.
So 29 years, and now we finally have a Hocus Pocus 2.
It's cute. You can see our reaction video to that.
Yes, yeah. So
On
I know
YouTube.
we're about to be back, because it's not going to take us long on here to do our little Salem trip, but in a few days we'll get back on here and record the other part.
That's right. We will be back soon to tell you all about us seeing the filming locations, what it was like in person, if they were really as big and majestic as everything looked.
Probably not.
I'm really wondering about the Allison house, stuff like
Yeah.
that, how it looks in person.
I think it's going to be a lot like all the other colonial homes that we
Yeah.
have seen, like when we visited. Even though they are grand, people were just smaller back then.
Yeah.
And
Those
but
GMOs.
they're sturdy. Like they've lasted a really long time.
for
So
sure.
yes, we're gonna go to all those places and then be back in just a few seconds. So stay tuned.
We'll be right back. Hear about it.
We are the scream queens, gonna put out the fire.
Hey guys, we're back. Told you didn't have to wait that long.
No, it was just a couple of seconds, blink in the eye, a little shake of a tail.
But
Here we are.
But for us, it was a lot of glorious days in Salem.
Wow. We trekked our asses from Oklahoma City clear all the way to Salem, Massachusetts,
Yeah.
and it was worth every mile of driving that we did.
That is right. I think last time we talked to you guys, we were where? Still in Oklahoma or in Missouri?
No, we were in Missouri.
Yeah, we weren't very far on our
Missouri.
trail. And guys, it was an epic trip to get to Salem. We ended up driving through Illinois and Indiana.
We ended up driving extra hours.
Extra hours up through Ohio, up to Cleveland. Then we stayed the night. Then the next day we went up through like Buffalo and Rochester, New York, and then over through Massachusetts. We saw parts of the country we've never seen before.
In
it was
our
really
lives,
cool.
ever. We saw the sign to exit for Niagara Falls,
Yeah.
and we were telling
We saw our
some
first Great
people-
Lake.
Yeah, exactly. Had we not been in a rush to get to the parade
Yeah.
on our first day there, which would have been Friday,
Yes.
so if it hadn't been for that, we might have been like, you know what, Niagara Falls, let's do it. But we had to get to the parade.
We had to get to that parade, and you know
Racing.
what? We made it. We got to our hotel about 6 o'clock. There was already traffic going into Salem on a Thursday evening. One, because Haunted Happenings was kicking off that day, and that is their big all-month event in Salem.
Yeah. It's really neat. They were celebrating their 40th anniversary, so they're kicking it off the night we get there. And like any great parade, it doesn't start on time, which is good for us because we arrived
At 6.
with like no time to
And
spare.
so by the time we got out there, we found our spot on the streets of Salem, and probably waited maybe 2 minutes, and then the parade started.
It started
so,
up. It was almost like they were waiting for us to arrive.
yeah, it was perfect timing, and we were out kind of in an area by the
Memorial.
Memorial. And it was just so much fun. It was a great kickoff to our stay, and then also into just the Halloween, to get into the Halloween spirit and for the Halloween season.
Yeah, it put me in the best spooky time, Halloween vibes. And we saw so many Sanderson sisters.
We did. Little kids, adults, like it was a lot of fun. Even just driving in on Thursday, families were leaving their houses to go trick or treating. Just driving in was perfect because we were
picturesque.
Yeah, and it was nightfall was just about to settle in. Like I said, it was about 6 o'clock when we got into town, and yeah, we're already seeing trick or treaters. We go straight to a parade. It was magical.
It was super cute. Every day there were trick or treaters. There was like little events every day. But here we are strolling in, and we're driving past these like gorgeous old homes. And we immediately were like, okay, that's going on the list of things to do. Just to waltz around
The
these
neighborhoods.
streets and see these gorgeous homes.
And guys, it was a madhouse. They're not joking when they say October gets taken over by tourists, that the whole town goes crazy. It's like a whole party throughout the whole town. It's almost like a big festival throughout the whole city. And I'm not kidding when I say the whole city. Like everywhere you go, there's booths and vendors and people selling fried dough and all kinds of fun eats, and it was insane and amazing.
And it's like a town normally of about 45,000 people that just in the weekend just swells to thousands with all of the locals that want to come and visit, or the out of towners, but they're just from like down the road suburb kind of like thing. And of course, then the ones that travel near and far to see it. We had a great parade start, and we quickly noticed. We turned around. We're like, oh, there's a brewery right over here.
Let's go get a drink.
I'm feeling a little parched.
We drank our drink, had a pretzel, and then we just walked around, kind of got our bearings, and we walked down to Salem Common. And we got so excited because it's in the Hocus Pocus 1. It is the area where Danny gets the note back from Allison after school. But just recently in Hocus Pocus 2, if anybody saw that, it's the area where the mayor's having his big party, and he's keeps waiting in line for his apple.
Yeah,
So
his candy-covered apple.
that was a lot of fun.
So, and they are having a festival, like, every day that we're there's a festival going on. There was, like, Joshua mentioned, the fried dough, and just kind of like local, kind of state fair-like foods. But we tried that fried dough, and it was delectable.
Well, yeah, so that was kind of like our first night, just getting our bearings in Salem, and we knew, we had a lot to contend with, so we decided to get up early. We got up about 6 o'clock, got out on the streets by 7 a.m. We had a ritual where we started going to Starbucks every morning, because Starbucks was maybe 10 steps across from our hotel.
Yeah, so it was just like, boom, we're there. And we also had tons of delicious, like, seafood.
Mm-hmm.
At
That's
the
right.
local restaurants and, like,
Lots
oysters
of
and
chowder.
mussels. Oh, yeah, the chowder. The power of the chowder.
We ate all the chowder we could.
But we hopped on over to just a wonderful residential area that had the Ropes Mansion.
And that was beautiful. Like, it was a picturesque morning. It was nice and crisp. I wore a big fall jacket, and we were just strolling around with our Starbucks. And it was so cool because there's, like, nobody yet in front of the Ropes Mansion except from a lady, like, posing her dogs in front of it.
Oh, and they were the cutest big-ass
And
fluff dogs.
So after she left, and, like, I think there was, like, a couple there that we took pictures for, we had the whole, like, entry of the house to, like, take pictures of without any...
There were no bystanders.
Nobody to
standing
obscure
there.
our
Mhm.
view. Because later, when you had
Perfect.
walked by, it was swamped with tourists. So
Yes, we thought ahead.
it worked in our favor.
And we took our pictures there. It's called the Peabody. I know their locals call it Peabody, but it was the Peabody Essex.
Well, it's owned by the Peabody
Um,
Essex Museum.
yes.
But it's called the Ropes
Mansion, yes.
Yeah. Just
So-
the museum owns it now.
And
then-
so you can go inside and visit it and
Mhm.
see, like, it's basically in its same, not in its same condition, but it's supposed to look like
Yeah.
it's 18th century.
Doesn't quite look like Allison's house. And you can stroll the gardens and take pictures in front of it and feel really cool. What's funny about it is it's not quite as big as you would imagine from the movie. There's houses around it that are much larger, but there's a lot of history with this house. And don't get me wrong, it's still like a 3-story mansion.
Mhm.
But there's like 5, 6-story ones around. But
Yeah, there's gargantuan, like, old homes that have little capstones that read when they were built, and they were like 1699.
yeah, every house would tell you what year it was built, who it was built for, and what they did for a living. It was really neat.
He was a merchant. He was a seafarer.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was neat.
And some of those houses were built in the 1600s. It was awesome to see.
They were all decorated very autumnally, or with jack-o'-lanterns and Halloween decorations on their porches.
Mhm.
They were in the vibe too.
Yeah, it was. They know what's up in that town, and they decorate for Halloween, and they know people are coming from all over to admire their city. Not to say that everybody there loves the tourists, but
Right, but yeah,
be respectful, y'all, if you go in October.
because it's a madhouse, and you just need to be happy that you're there and a part of the commotion.
If any of you have ever been to Disney World, that's how the best describe it. It's like Disney World level crowds
Yep.
throughout a town.
You
Throughout
gotta
a
book
little-
things in advance. And you
Yeah.
gotta get up or you have to stay up until 12, or set your alarm to book things to get into museums. They are no joke in the month of October.
Yeah.
Next, we decided we're on our feet. Let's walk all the way over to the other side of town and see the Pioneer Village and Max and Danny's house.
Yeah, and of course when we get to the Pioneer Village, it's about 10 a.m. at this point, and it's closed. It doesn't open till noon, and we're not going to wait around 2 hours. So we're like, okay, we'll come back later. We have several more days ahead of us.
Yeah.
So we
And
strolled just right down the street
Yeah,
to
it's
Max
just
and
right down
Danny's
the
house
street.
on Ocean Avenue, I think it was.
Yeah, and it is right, obviously, because you can see in the movie, it's right there on the bay, and
Mm-hmm.
so there's the ocean.
Yeah, it's right there on the harbor.
Yeah.
The water was up. We had a neighbor come by because there was no one around this time that we walked in. We got excellent pictures of Max and Danny's house from all kinds of angles and anals and
Canals.
now and
And the reason why we mentioned that they were such great pictures is because we went to the Pioneer Village a couple days later, and
Mhm.
it
it was
was
crazy. This is on a Friday morning, so not everybody was maybe in town yet. I know the weekends get extra crazy there. But we got great pictures. A neighbor kind of came walking by and she's like, oh, today's a beautiful day. The water is up. A lot of times it's down and it's mucky and yada yada. So
We just got a real picturesque
yeah,
view.
we went on a perfect day for pictures.
So we walked back into town.
And you got a blister on your toe.
Oh my God, guys, I got a terrible blister. I had to go back to I hate it too, because those were shoes that I had had forever, and how dare the audacity of those shoes to show me in that moment. I got a blister, so anyways, we had to go back and kind of change up and decide what we were going to do next.
That shoe tried to eat your toe. I think it got bewitched in Salem.
Yeah, there was a witch, and she bewitched my foot and my shoe.
One of the
my toe.
cosplays, Sanderson sisters did it.
Just walked right by and was like, doop, gotcha. So we walked around again. We got to kind of see more of the Essex Mall that we hadn't really checked that out the night before.
And it was really cool. It's just a lot of vendors, street performers, a lot of shops. And you also go by the Peabody Essex Museum, which we unfortunately didn't get to go when we hear it was a really cool museum. So someday we hope to go to the Peabody Essex Museum.
To the Peabody. And we did decide that we wanted to do one of the very just kind of quintessential visitor tourist things. So we did the ferry boat ride.
Yeah, we did
at
a
evening
haunted
time
ferry boat ride. And they took us around
to show us the haunted lighthouses.
Yeah, Salem Sound. And not only lighthouses, they showed us Children's Island, which is like a YMCA camp now, but is supposed to be haunted. And if you go at certain times of year when the moon is full, the kids that
dead kids
that haunt the place will come and actually have conversations with the kids that are staying there. And a lot of creepy things have been reported there. Yeah, and then they pointed out some scary lighthouses. One in particular, I almost wonder if it kind of inspired the movie The Lighthouse.
The Lighthouse.
They talked about how these two guys that ran this one lighthouse got stuck out there in the winter, and when people finally came to save them, essentially, they were had been eating each other. And
yeah, there was some insane snow drifts, and it was just
and they were dead.
Yeah. Anyways, they were dead, and we learned about them. And Josh also got his spooky vibes on by opening up the dimensions for himself by entertaining a tarot reading.
Yeah, they were doing free tarot readings, so why not? I sat down, had my tarot read. He said some generic stuff to me, and that was that. I always think they're fun.
Yeah, no, they're funny to overhear, and they had another person also. There was two tarot readers.
Yeah.
So watching people go up and just the smiles that would be on their faces at the news maybe they were hearing. But
And there was a bar, so we had drinks.
Yes.
And at one point it rained, so everybody that was up at the bar getting drinks were kind of huddled under one awning and kind of having a fun little dance party for a second. And
yes, it was neat.
it was a lot of fun. That was a really cool experience. Not necessarily witch related, but they talked about some witchy things, told some ghost stories, and it was just quintessential Salem.
We learned about a big statue that's right over by the Salem Commons area in the Witch Museum. There's a big statue, and when he holds his staff at a certain angle.
Yeah, if you look at a certain angle, it looks like he's holding his dick.
Yeah, he's just holding that shaft. And so that was something else that we learned. She was a really great teacher, and she
funny.
told spooky tales, and it was just a nice evening out on the water.
And that was a Mahi Mahi cruise line. So if you guys are ever in
Yes.
Salem, and they do things throughout the year, foliage tours, haunted just ghost tours throughout the year. So check into that. It was a really fun experience. They make it a good time.
Yeah, and like we said, they have booze and they had food too. We didn't get any of the food, but
it was maybe an hour and a half, 2 hour experience.
I think it was. She said 75 minutes is how long it was.
It was the perfect length.
It was. Yes, it was. It ended kind of right on time.
Yeah, you never
We
got
back,
bored.
and
By the time it was done, you're like, okay, yeah, I am ready to get off. This was fun.
Yeah, if I'd lingered any longer, I probably would have been like, okay, what else?
When are we getting back to the?
It's dark. So I think we ended our night just kind of picking up some food and taking it back to the hotel. We knew,
walked about 8 miles.
Yeah,
that
we
day.
knew we were gonna have to keep walking, and we just needed to rest our poor feet.
Poor feet.
Poor feet. And we wanted to get up again in the morning and see more without everybody else. So we tried to get up every morning early enough to catch those wonderful camera angles. And
Yes. And our goal for Saturday for the Hocus Pocus episode was the town hall. The old town hall where, they put a spell on you.
And now you're gone.
Salem! And that was off of the Essex Mall.
Yes.
So it was kind of perfect because, it was swamped the day before. So getting up at 7 and being out there with our Starbucks,
Yes.
we got great pictures once again.
And it was Saturday, so of course it was gonna
Be popping
just,
off.
Yeah, popping. So getting up and getting those pictures was well worth it.
And our old friends from Austin, if you remember from our faculty episode, our Texas Chainsaw 1 and 2 episodes, they're actually in New Hampshire now, Rhode Island now, and they came up to visit us for Saturday. So we didn't do much for Hocus Pocus that day except from the town hall, which is really pretty. It's on this really cool brick lined street.
Yeah, we hung out with them and did, just some fun Salem things, had good food, good nosh.
Went back to the beer garden.
Yes, but we had some good notch and nosh.
Yes.
And just had fun with them. And then we got up and did the same, we got up those mornings so we could get those good pictures. And so we walked 10 miles on Sunday.
Sunday was an epic day. Went down to Proctor's Ledge, which we'll talk about more next episode.
Yeah, went and saw the House of the Seven Gables.
House of the Seven Gables. Again, it's right off the water, so it was so peaceful and calm that morning. And we just really took in the sights and sounds of the House of the Seven Gables.
Yeah, grabbed some breakfast at the hotel, and we knew we were going to go time-wise to make it to the Pioneer Village.
And we pretty much picked up breakfast every morning at our hotel,
Yeah.
and it was decent enough. We stayed at the Hampton Inn, which is right in the heart of Salem. If you guys are thinking of going to Salem, it's a perfect location for all your walking and all that. It's right in the heart of everything. Maybe not as much so as the Nathaniel Hawthorne Hotel, but even that you would have to walk to something. So it was a perfect
But you wouldn't
location.
have to deal with all that people traffic.
But for next year, you guys need to be booking now.
Yes.
If you're listening to this
Should
and
be
you're
on
thinking
it.
of going to Salem in October next year, start booking.
Get that room now.
We heard that the Hawthorne, and then there's one called the Salem Inn by the water or something. They're already sold out for next October,
Yeah.
I heard.
You've got, and there's plenty other places,
And
maybe not
Airbnbs
location-wise, but
Bed and
that are just as
breakfast.
beneficial, right? But and other places that are haunted. When we went on our candlelight tour of little witch areas and spooky happenings,
Mhm.
one evening they talked about a hotel that was really haunted. So that's creepy. And George Washington had stayed there.
Yeah. So then we made our way finally to the Pioneer Village on Sunday.
Yes.
And it was cool. The line is long. Get there early. We got there probably about a half hour before it opened and got
And it's
in line.
supposed to be the replica of a 17th century
Mhm.
village.
And that's where a lot of the old Salem stuff from Hocus Pocus was filmed. So we got to see another Hocus Pocus location, which was really cool. And trying to figure out I wonder whose house was this? Thackeray Binks' house,
Yeah.
the exterior. Which one was it? That was fun. Kind of just feeling enveloped in that world, and they had it decorated for fall, pumpkins everywhere.
It was super cute.
It was really awesome, and it's kind of in a wooded area, so the colors are already changing.
And it's right by the water.
It was great pictures if you like taking photos and whatnot.
Kind of felt immersed in the world of 17th century Salem.
And it's the oldest, what they call a living museum, kind of they have Colonial Williamsburg or Jamestown, things like that. This one's the oldest of those. Maybe not the most impressive. Williamsburg is on
You're
crack.
right, yeah, Williamsburg. Exactly. That's a good way to even say it's on crack.
But this one is cool, and it's old, but it's Williamsburg.
It's small. It's
It's like
very intimate because you can go
experience.
into those like areas and but the rooms, the sizes are
Yeah,
just so
little.
small. That's what I mean by intimate. It's like you're walking next to other people that are just trying to look at a small room with a a fireplace and a bed
Yeah.
and basically a one-room home.
Yeah.
It's tiny. We also were like super hungry after doing all that walking around.
Is that McLeish's?
And yes, so we went to just a pub, something we
Yeah.
hadn't done yet.
To
Actually.
me, I was like, oh, this is a New England
Yes.
pub. Like that great beer, good chowder.
We wanted to do that. We wanted to go have like pubs, beers, chowder, and this place was super Salem decorated as well.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. The staff there was a lot of fun. You could tell it was maybe family owned. Like even the manager, the owner of the place was in there cooking and helping out.
and
'cause-
joking around. They were having some really funny
Yeah.
like New England banter.
And it's true, like every restaurant, everybody is prepped, and it's like all hands on deck in October for Salem. So you could hear them talking about the crowds, and people were calling to see if the crowds had come into the restaurant yet. And we got there at a good time. We got a seat immediately. Because there were several times we had to wait in line for restaurants and whatnot.
Yeah, we definitely like Disney vibes. Like those
Mhm.
lines were Disney vibes lines. It was sometimes you had to weigh like, is this really gonna be worth it? It was, but
Yeah, it really was like being at a theme park, but that theme park just happened to be like an old, really cool cobblestone lined street city, you know?
yes. We went to the elementary school after that and decided to just kind of walk around the common
Mhm.
area again.
And the elementary school is the high school in
Yes,
the
in
movie.
another location for them to film, but it's in that commons area.
it's
and
where
it
you
was
see
a-
them like burning the witches and hocus pocus, but you see all the
Yes.
exterior
Welcome
shots.
to high
anyways.
school hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we see the high school that's right out there. And I mean, wouldn't that be so cute? Like, an actual town of Salem, that school is an elementary school. And here you are, like this little kid just running out the
Uh-huh.
door. And it's beautiful autumn Salem.
Well, it was
picturesque.
It was an elementary school until 1992, and it closed right before production, so it was perfect. Like, kind of,
Good timing.
yeah, for them to be like, okay, well then there's our school.
That's exactly where
That's
we'll
our
shoot.
high school.
Husky. Oh, wow.
That was really good.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
job.
you. I didn't get an applause or anything.
You
because
hit it.
were
You held
driving,
it.
So
You know,
I did. I held it. I kind of needed to burp
you
during
hit it
too.
and held it. That's all that
But-
matters.
Okay, so we did 10 miles of walking that day, Josh.
Yeah, it felt good until it didn't.
You're right, it did. It felt good, and then all of a sudden, you and I were like almost racing to get back to the
It-
hotel just to lay down.
It was one of those experiences where you didn't feel it until you sat down for a few seconds or stopped, and then when you tried to move again, you're like, oh, I can barely move.
Well, you're walking
after
like a
stopping.
old person, and you're all hunched over, and then you're saying like, my poor feet, my poor back, my pussy and my crack. And
We just aren't conditioned for that
no,
right now.
we hadn't prepped for
We used
that.
to be, but not right
Not so
now.
much these days. So yeah, we ended our Salem though night
Yeah.
with a candlelit
Ghost
walking
tour.
tour.
And it take you all around Salem. You go. I think it was like an hour and a half tour.
Everything seemed to be 75 minutes.
Yeah, and we had a really good tour guide. He was funny. She took us all around to really creepy spots. Told us really good stories.
Yeah.
She would encourage us to get our camera out to try to get pictures of ghosts. She's like, usually there's, a face can be spotted in this window sometimes, so everyone has their phones
Take a
out trying to
picture,
get
yep.
pictures. And oh, hello, big truck.
And then we went by like this church where the graves had been moved, and it's just kind of spooky. You don't mess with someone's final resting place. And so she was like, take a picture of the courtyard area. Just the other day, I took a picture and I got like what appeared to be
A full
apparition.
body apparition, yeah.
And we were like, what? Oh my God, that's like creeping me out. Oh my goodness. Then I swear a ghost touched my butt. Okay, did we do anything? I know we had dinner and it was great and it was lovely and we
were exhausted.
We were exhausted,
And we were
so we
up,
went.
up and down from 7 a.m. to like 10 p.m. or whatever, walking the streets of Salem.
We knew we had just, a limited amount of time there to get everything in for 2 podcasts.
So on our final morning, we went by Burial Hill, which is not actually in Salem. Old Burial Hill is where you see Max get confronted by Ice and Jay, and they steal his shoes.
Yeah, I mean, it's movie magic, so they make it seem like it's a
in
part of Salem.
Yeah, but it's actually down the street about 7 miles, and what's the name of the town? Marblehead.
Yeah. And it's the oldest, cemetery there. It's from the 1630s, so we're dealing with older than dirt America,
Yeah, we saw a lot of the graves that had, kind of like what the emblem or one of the symbols for Hocus Pocus is, which is like that skull with the wings.
Yes.
Those are what a lot of the graves are decorated with back then.
Yes.
And they're so thin, they've been weathered by the salt and sand around, and that they're like these just thin tombstones.
And there were a lot of graveyards around too, because in Salem there's this witch memorial,
which we'll talk about next month.
Yeah, but there's a graveyard in there that we couldn't. They had it closed. I would imagine because of the population.
I think because of how crazy it gets, they didn't want that much foot traffic going in.
And there you could see, we got pictures of some of those gravestones that had that emblem that we see in Hocus Pocus. So
it was really cool.
Woo!
Yeah, Burial Hill was a beautiful cemetery, and you could get those views of the harbor and the water and the ocean. I couldn't quite find, there's a spot in the movie where he gazes out kind of more over the town, and you see a steeple sticking up, and I couldn't find the steeple.
Well, we decided too that
we
were the opposite angle, and then there had overgrown trees.
It's been nearly 30 years where the trees might have grown up more, and you can't see the steeple anymore. But yeah, you could definitely tell we found the exact spot where Ice and then jump out in a costume, and
yes,
it was just fun. The whole experience of seeing all these things in person, because on Sunday we circled around again. We're at the Pioneer Village and saw Max's house again. And on a Sunday when all the tourists were in town, there was a cop car out front, tons of people. There was no way you would have gotten a decent picture that day.
No.
We could even hear some of the tourists man, why is that cop got to be parked right in front of the house?
Yeah, why does he have to have it parked right there? Because I don't know, maybe it was almost to deter people, you're not going to get a good picture, so leave.
Exactly, that's exactly what he was doing, just trying to keep people. And apparently people have bothered the owners, or they go up on the porch, or things to just, people are being respectful.
And we have visited a lot of filming locations doing this podcast, and
we never go up to the door.
We are so respectful.
Even the Nightmare on Elm Street house, we wanted to so bad, get close, or Tatum's
get way
house,
close to that door. But it's at the end of the day, it's just that's someone's actual living residence. They own that property.
I wonder if 2019 Bo Burnham was there, because remember that special that he did it? He was living in the Nightmare on Elm Street house, or in the backyard in the guest house or something. I wonder if in 2019 when we visited, he was living there.
And they're making his
video.
Gosh.
Anyways, that's a tangent.
We digress. Crazy style. Okay, guys. So next up. Or no, let's talk our fave scene. Oh my goodness, I was getting all kinds of.
Oh, you're way ahead of yourself, but that's okay. Hocus Pocus, it's just a classic. You can't deny it. A lot of people will poo-hoo it, maybe now when they watch it, it was alright. I don't get all the fuzz. But then I hear people that watch it and they really engage with the magic of it, and they're like, "Yeah, why haven't I seen this earlier?" To me, it's Halloween. This movie. Yeah.
It deserves your respect.
Everybody commits to their characters. All the 3 witches are amazing.
It's a well-constructed, well-designed, well-produced, well-directed.
Magic in a bottle.
It's a perfect kind of Disney, kinder horror. I would say the actual Salem witch, it's a more accurate representation, at least, that they were hung. They didn't try to burn him at the stake or do anything dumb like that. They stuck to that kind of history. Tried to immerse themselves in Salem.
Yeah, everything about it's just so Halloween.
It is. And when they had filmed, wanting to get all those trees, and it's just a real representation of that town.
And when we were just strolling around the town, I was really feeling like Hocus Pocus, like, oh, and just putting it all together, like, oh, that's funny. Max would have had to go from here to there to pick up Allison.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And they would have really had to, like, travel to go to Allison's.
It's just a testament to this movie, too, that when it first came out, it wasn't really a hit. And then just every year got bigger and bigger audience. And I know you and I loved it the second I saw it.
Oh, yeah. We were watching
it just
that,
got
like,
bigger every year until now it's one of those things I can't imagine it not being part of Halloween. And everyone's embraced it so much. It's so much part of our Halloween culture now.
It is always going to be in my Halloween zeitgeist.
And Omri Katz is a fox still to this day.
He is, and he was going to be making appearances in Salem like October 22nd.
When we were gone. Guys, we got to do our awkward ritual that you're going to hear a few times. Bye, Virginia. We loved you. You took good care of us.
Bye, Virginia.
Hello,
We love you, Tennessee. Take good care of
Keep us safe
Just
during
be
our
gentle.
travels.
Get us
We
through.
love you.
You're a long, long lady, and we're here for the long, long
We love a lady with long legs.
The long
We're
lady
driving through ya.
Tennessee.
Keep us safe. All right. Back to this program.
Yeah, sorry, we just have that, in the crossover state ritual, you gotta say goodbye and you gotta greet.
Yeah, it's
Just
one of those
don't
things like
respect
what
places.
I just can't imagine. It's always worked for us, so
Yeah.
if we don't do it,
Just don't
what might happen?
disrespect places. We have to greet them. We're gonna be inside them.
Maybe you think superstitions are dumb, but
Not
I
us.
think it's saving my life.
I'm gonna do things that save my life, and you can't prove me wrong at this point. No, you can't. Oh my gosh. Okay, so favorite scene.
Favorite
Josh?
scene? That's really hard with this movie because there's so much magic and so much magical moments. I gotta say, I really love like all the chasing in the cemetery with like Billy Butcher's son. Kind of, and I love it when the witches are surrounding them. Kind of anytime they're in that cemetery and the witches are after them or someone's chasing them.
That's spooky vibes on point.
That's like the real like kinder horror. Is like the guy without the head for a few minutes chasing the kids, and it ends up being kind of sweet. Like he's a good guy and he helps them. And I would say that like I love when the witches are flying around, and I love the cemetery stuff. It's hard to pinpoint just one scene when it comes to that, but
I hear ya. It's hard.
That's mine. Anytime the witches are flying around or they're in the cemetery running around, I love the Billy Butcherson scenes.
Okay, well, since you decided to pepper in all of your favorites,
I'll
you
go
for
girl.
mine. I mean, I definitely love the opening scene. That is a great just opening scene to a kinder horror.
And now when you watch
Sets
it, you
it
can be
up.
like, that's the Pioneer Village.
Yeah, like I know where that. I've been there. Or that one meme, like I seen it.
Yeah.
So I love that opening. I mean, it just sets the tone for it. We get our Sanderson sisters. We also get that this is going to be funny but spooky. I also love to Betsy's. I just love that I put a spell on you. Like I love the Sanderson sisters so much. So I love when they're singing and putting on their little show. The kids are all like, "No, don't listen!" And
Mom's
the whole
cone bra.
yeah, the whole town's there, and they're not buying into it. So it adds to the tension. When you're a kid watching this, you're like, no,
the parents aren't listening.
Yeah, they're buying into this. So what's going to happen to the whole town now?
And when you're a kid, you only have your parents to help you,
Yeah.
So the idea of like these kids being like, we have no grown-ups to help us, we got to take over and help.
Yes, we've got to save the town.
It's kind of powerful.
Kids are going to be abducted if we don't do something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely love that. I love when Max and Allison and Danny light the black flame candle. They kind of have their own moment in the cottage. And
that's really fun.
It's just a little bit like
that movie's so good.
It's a little bit like heaven.
I even like just the light-hearted, funny moments, like when he first meets Allison at the school and giving the note back on the commons, just all the really like fall vibe setups of the movie. Him riding his bike through the cemetery and through town, like. I really like how they set up the environment, the aesthetic.
I love Allison. She is a great, kind of leading lady girl.
Fucking love Vanessa.
I love Vanessa Shaw, but I do love what she does for, go girl, empowerment. She's always trying to solve it and
She's
be
fighting
there,
witches with
support,
salt
and she sticks around the whole time, and she takes on the responsibility of the Sanderson sisters. She could kind of just like bounce and be like,
Yeah.
okay, Bex, this is your problem.
I'm going back to my mansion.
Yeah, my parents live here, and
They're having a dope party tonight.
yeah, I'm gonna drink my sorrows away in the cider now. But no, instead she's like, I'm kind of down for this bad boy virgin who with the black flame
Yeah.
candle.
Well, for her to even just be like, yeah, let's go. Let's, go on an adventure. Like in the
Yeah.
first place. is
She just,
cool.
yeah, I love that. And then Danny, she's also
So
just
funny.
like, yay, go girl.
Everybody's so perfectly cast, down to the kids, to the parents, to, the bullies, to, of course, our three witches.
Oh, yes.
They're funny. They can be kind of frightening at times when they need to be. They make me laugh.
Yeah, I buy that they are these witches.
And the whole
that
fish
they're
out of water
sisters.
element is
Oh my
great.
god, which is, when it's done right, is a wonderful way to watch a movie.
Yeah, and it's funny in the second one too, like all the fish out of water.
yeah, here they are back again, but things have really changed.
Yeah,
in
even in 30 years. So.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, Hocus Pocus, so dear to my heart and my
it's
farts.
so dear to my
and
farts.
I can't imagine a Halloween now without it. It's one of those we watch every year. We've even gone to like the movie theater when they show it. And watch it.
It's a magical little
Mhm.
experience to get to have in the theater and to
Yeah.
see everybody around you if they haven't seen it for the first time, to get to see their reactions.
Yeah.
So enjoy it. Watch it. Spooky season. Watch Hocus Pocus.
So,
Hocus Pocus 2.
knife ratings.
Knife ratings.
Obviously, five knives.
Five. Like, we're...
Sure, we could probably pick some flaws here and there. I mean, it would take me a while because this movie's just fun. Like, there's no point in picking it apart at all.
it's a total, like,
It's a
kid fantasy.
Yeah, it's
like,
a celebration of Halloween.
We're talking about witches that have been, they have come back from the grave. I mean, we're already talking in
Mhm.
not the real world.
Yeah.
That's not real. We don't.
There's zombies and
Yeah.
witches and little kids trying to save the world,
There's
essentially.
a book
like-
that's alive. And there's
Yeah.
a cat that talks. Like, we're not talking real world, so why do I want to pick it apart so much?
And I get, like, well, you can still pick apart, like, storytelling,
Oh, I
but
know.
it's just fun. Like, just have fun with it. It's just a great Halloween movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I
And that's
think,
that.
yeah, and that's that.
And now we're on our way home.
Obviously, we're in Tennessee. You heard us being weird and telling Tennessee hello. And Virginia,
Hello.
goodbye.
And next up we have the Vitch.
The Vitch, and we'll get into more of our Salem adventures. We'll talk more about just the witchy stuff that we did, all the real witchy stuff.
Yeah, because we definitely did see tons, but
Yeah, there's more to talk about. We
there's
just
more
really
to talk about.
talked
you
about
gotta
the
watch.
Hocus Pocus
Yeah,
stuff
you
with
gotta check out next month's episode if you want to hear about it. So
That's
thank you
right.
for listening. Please rate and review us.
And give us that
That
5 stars. Help us
star.
out.
Why don't you go ahead and give us that 5-star?
You can find us on YouTube at Scream Queens Horror Podcast. We have a new handle on
Yeah, we're
YouTube now.
we're two whores now. We're Scream
Scream
Queens
Queens
Horror
Horror
Podcast, and maybe watch like a reaction or two, and we'll just check you next time, right?
Yeah, we will. And we love you.
Take
Thanks for
care.
listening.
Bye,
We'll see you
babies.
soon.
Bye.